Hi, I'm Vasan. Welcome to my channel eVidai. So we are doing the Google Cloud upskill series, and we could manage to pass the stage 1 of the Get Certified program from the Google Cloud. We are into stage 2, where the Google Cloud provided us the 300 credits, and we got the week 1 instruction from the Google team. So week 1 recommendation from Google Cloud team is that to go through the exam guide, which is publicly available, to see on what track you choose. So I am targeting for associate cloud engineer. Also they asked us to go through the sample questions, which we'll do that. Plus in terms of exercise, they asked us to do 2 topics. The initial one which they given us, which is implement the load balancing on compute engine, which is going to be given as a rough estimate time of 3 hours 30 minutes, but I believe it should be like a straightforward in terms of getting to know. So if you see creating a virtual machine, and then getting started with the cloud cell and gcloud itself, setting up a network and HTTP load balancer, implement load balancing on the compute engine. So that's going to be our first series of lab for the week 1 as recommended by the GCP. And then they also provided us the another set of week 1 series to go through, which is the Google Cloud fundamentals, the core infrastructure. I will link to both those two which GCP recommended in the video description. And as part of today's session, or like today's video, we will try to follow and close all those 5 labs, so that I can show you like what is there and how it can be done. So let's go with creating a virtual machine, so for which you would need 1 credit. So by default, even if you are not enrolled under the program, by default you would get 9 credits on completing the initial interaction onboarding. So let's do start lab. So the lab itself is of creating the virtual machine. Let's do that. So if you are new to what is virtual machine, it's going to be more equivalent of the servers in the on-premise part, where you would be having a physical server. We would be trying to launch similar stuff in the cloud, and the GCP, they call it as virtual machine. So as part of this one, we are going to create a VM in the cloud console. It's not a automation job. They are expecting us to do it via the console, and also create a VM with the gcloud. So that's good. So we are going to learn in the console manually, plus as the gcloud command line as well. Deploy web server and connect it to the VM. So we are going to do that. So they talk about VIM, it's a text editor, Nano also text editor. In the Linux part, I think we are going to deal with few text files might be. Let's see it. So we already start file. Let's go for it. Open console. We done that. Done. Okay. Let's skip to the major piece. So we want to activate the cloud cell, which we can do it using this specific one. So once we log into the console, we would see we just need to click this to activate the cloud cell. That's what they expected us to do it. And you want to continue. It's just still connecting. Okay. We can do gcloud auth list and then authorize, and then we should be getting the specific one. We're getting it. It looks fine. Let's try fetching the projects in R1. So we're getting the details, which means it's working. So first thing, they're starting with the differentiate between the regions and zones, and if you see each specific the VM itself, so it's going to be either launched in one of the zones, and then we would be choose the zones based on our specific region. So as they say, the regions are most like a Western US, Central US, Eastern US, or Eastern Asia, and it can be more, and then each specific region would be having like multiple zones. Like for example, if India is a region, then Mumbai would be a specific zone and Chennai would be another zone. Likewise, it would be the different part of the same region. So that we do deal with regions and zones for high availability purpose and more performance specific purpose. So we choose the regions more based on where our exact user base is, because it doesn't make sense if your user base in Europe, maybe London or Ireland, and then you have your VM running in USA, which means all the requests should travel from the Europe to the USA. Whereas if you choose the regions based on your user location preference, the request can be served quick, the data can be stored to the nearest location. It also helps in terms of solving purpose of like where you store your data, if any GDPR more like restrictions across storing the sensitive data of the user itself. So here they talk about set the project region for this lab. To set a specific project region, they provide to go with gcloud config set compute / region US central 1. So we are going to set the region as US central 1. Let's do that. Done. Next, export region is equal to US central 1. So we are setting an environmental variable called region equal to the value US central 1, so that in future we can just use a region as the specific value. So now create a variable for the zone which is US central 1C. So let's do that. So we know whenever we refer a region, it's going to be mean US central 1, and then if we say zone, it's going to be US central 1C. Done. So now let's go and create a new instance from the cloud console. That's the ideal objective we had. So this is going to be lying within the compute engine and VM instance. So now the navigating of the UI itself. So if you know where your service would be there, for example, the VM, it falls under compute engine, and then you would need to go into the virtual VM instance, right? So in case if you don't know like where it falls under, we can just go to view all products over here, and so this is going to give you the list of categories like management, compute, storage, analytics, more. So we know that the servers would technically fall under compute, so go over there and then you can see it would fall under the compute engine, and they would also give you the description, more detail about like what it does and part of it. So we'll go with the compute engine, and then within the compute engine we want to create a VM instance out of it, right? So let's create a VM instance. So create an instance, and there are many parameters they talked about, so they provided to provide the specific one. So we want to go with the US central 1 as they recommended, and then zone, since it's GCP provided lab, they are very precise about like which zone we want to launch it. In generic case you would choose based on your own need, so we'll go with US 1C, and then we have the series which is E2, and they also talk about more in generic here. So like the description clearly states what type of compute you want to store, and this falls under the general purpose, and based on your user need you would go. So here obviously it's going to be the low cost for day-to-day computing, that's why they're recommending us to go with E2. If your application is need more on high performance on the compute wise, you would go with C3, and more options has been given. And for everything like cost wise, there is a separate one which would, the link is there, which will take you to the detailed page of the compute cost. So you can take your time in terms of go to into it, like which class and what type of how many CPUs would come, how many memory would come, so that based on the application need we can choose the compute type and memory type, and that would eventually map with the machine type which would need. So we went with E2, and in the E2 we went with 2 CPU and E2 medium, which is comes with the 2 CPU and 4 GB RAM, and more details been given part of it. So next would be the boot disk, which they asked us to go with 10 GB. Let's see, yeah, by default is a 10 GB, so no action required. And then we want to sort the firewall part. So in the firewall, since the lab objective is to like connect to the server, the Nginx part, so they wanted us to allow the HTTP traffic, and all they are expecting us. So let's create it. So if we one thing we missed out is that we didn't name it as GC lab. I'm not sure whether it will be a problem for us. Is there any way to rename it? Let's check it out. It will be good if we can rename it. If not, we would need to destroy this and then recreate it. Is there any option to rename it? Let's see. Let's ask Google, right? So can I rename VM instance in GCP? Because obviously we are learning it, so you can only rename stopped VMs that are in the terminated state. To rename a VM to the following Google console. Okay, so to do this we can only rename the stopped instance. So I'm going to stop this. Let's stop it. Is it stopped? So it's how we do the hands-on part, right? So even I'm more into like AWS and I'm trying this for new, so I missed it, like of naming the value. So let's see, like if we can fix it rather completely destroying it or and recreating it. So for now I click stop and it's doing some operation behind the scenes. Let's see. So the documentation says rename VM. When you can optionally rename it. Workload, fine. VM universe. How to do it? Okay, go to the console, stop. We have done that. Up to 90 seconds. Okay. Okay, so stopping an instance, it's going to take us 90 seconds. That's a new information for us. Okay, it's being done, stopped. So now if we go here, do you have an edit here? Okay, here we have edit, and let's rename this, save it. I don't know why each operation takes like quite so long. Is that generally the GCP API's behavior like this? Like after every click it's like loads for like few seconds and then responds back. If any of the GCP expert is watching this, do comment. Like, is this always the case like this? Like, for each operation it loads huge, too long. And I'm afraid, like, should I go and click back, because the operation might be like interrupted. Can try click back. If we go with VM instance, okay, it's got renamed now. And if I click here, and I can do start or resume. Okay, the status is still in okay, so to start the instance it came like pretty much fast, but then to stop the instance it took close to 90 seconds. That's what they mentioned, right? So if I do refresh, and okay, so this part is done. So now to do we want to connect it via the SSH. To do that, we want to use this click connect SSH. A new pop-up is going to open for us, which would be having the terminal session established. So let's give authorized. This will be the authorized session. Let me increase the one. So we are going to install the Nginx server within our the VM instance. Okay, so let's do that. So first we want to update the OS. That's what they say, sudo apt get update. So that's going to update the OS part. It's giving this. So next is to install the Nginx. Command is sudo apt get install -y Nginx. It's going to do that. Once that is installed, you want to confirm whether the Nginx is running. The command is this one given. So ps will be giving you the all the running process. So if you see ps, it's going to give you this specific part. If you do ps, if you do man ps, this will give you the all the instructions, like all the manual guide, like what it would does. And x, okay, it gives all the details about which user and what processor and more on. What we want here is just the details about Nginx, so we go with grep and then Nginx. So that gives us the specific information related to the Nginx processes. So now to see the web page, so the Nginx is running. So to see the web page, get the public IP and then click on it. To get the public IP of our instance, you can go inside this instance, and so this one consists of the internal IP. We need the external IP. So get the external IP and click it. Okay, so it's loading, which means the Nginx is being installed in our VM instance. Let's do check my progress. Done. So we have created an instance in the US West 1 region, US West 1 C zone, and then we also did couple of commands to install the Nginx part, and the Nginx page is loading. So task 1 is done. So next task is to create the new instance with the gcloud CLI. So we have the CLI here, I mean where you can, the terminal here, we want to run the gcloud command. So how to do that? So we want to use the command gcloud compute instance create gcloud lab 2 mission type et2 medium -zone equal to $zone. So if you remember at the beginning of the lab we set certain environmental variables as export zone equal to, so this $zone is going to pick the value from there. So if you do that, let's see. So this is going to give us the part of it, and let's go for our VM instances part, and in the console we should be able to see the one which is created as GCE lab 2. Okay, so let's check my progress. Okay, cool. To see all the default runs, this is again the command gcloud compute instance create help. That's going to give us all the part, and yeah, so they're just helping us to navigate it. In case if you're not aware about these things, you don't need to worry about it. You can just ask about gcloud CLI, and it's going to take you to the gcloud CLI docs, and you can talk about here. You see, like, they given you the specific command how to do it, and if you once you know it, so you can even check more about like compute CLI or VM instance CLI, then that's going you to the specific documentation of the compute, and that's going to list you all the options. So I would say this would be the specific preferred one in terms of, you see, gcloud compute, and they talk about bits and pieces of each and every options available within over there. Okay, so here they're asking us to SSH via CLI. Okay, rather doing it via console, we'll do it via CLI. Let's give yes. Done. So now we are into the CLI part. We can check the same command like which we did in the previous instance we created manually. So if you do grep Nginx, I doubt it won't be having it, because okay, we can even do exit here. So done. So test your knowledge. Let's try it out. So maybe if you want, through which of the following ways can you create a VM instance in compute? So obviously we know it will be like both. Okay, done. That's it. In lab. Okay, we done the first piece of the lab of our week 1. So we have few more which I will post in the next video. Thanks.